What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for February 19th, 2024. CIG is working on an update for Xenothreat, and it seems really involved. We finally get to talk about Evocati patches here in these videos, and distribution centers are really wild. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Stop by and say hello. Thank you to all you guys who come over from these videos. I really do appreciate it. Now, we do have a lot to get through this week, so let's start out with some patch updates. And we'll start out with Tuesday's 322.1 PTU patch. And right off the bat, we have something a little interesting around mining. They want to add a little push force to explosions when you're in the red zone while mining instead of just damage. Maybe this will one day matter more when we have control surfaces, and anything that knocks you off your kind of level should send you crashing to the surface. But I will say this, I tested it in Friday's PTU patch because I've had a lot of life things going on. We told you about it in last week's Week in Review. I finally got to try this out. I didn't get pushed around at all, so not really sure what's going on here. For bug fixes, we had a number of bug fixes, but mostly to what appears to be this new version of Xenothreat, and it has a bunch of phases, but it was my understanding that it wasn't working well on Tuesday. And then for Arena Commander, there are a number of Master Modes fixes in their testing environment, as well as a call out to the Duo Showdown mode not rewarding both players in their coin, basically. We talked about that last week as well. They're just calling that out that they fixed it. Wednesday, this is with a patch where they start out with a big change. They're removing distortion damage to all items of a ship except for power plants, which is obviously the key one to disabling a ship. And shields, this is the big piece, will have a 75 to 95% resistance to distortion damage, and the percentage depends on your power triangle. So if you put it all the way in to shields, 95% reduction, and then anywhere in between. Basically, up to this point, you could disable a ship 2 to 3 times faster than it took to soft death one. So there was a reason for this change, and that's why they did it. It's temporary. They'll figure it out, but temporary fix for now. Bug fixes, a huge update here with a mention to possibly fixing the reason player purchase ships with in-game credits are losing them. Why? Every time they do a patch, you lose one. So I plan on purchasing a few to see how this works when 322.1 goes live. I hope it works out for you guys. This is a big issue. A lot of people call out that they do this on purpose to make money. They don't. They're just not doing a great job, which is not a surprise either, right? With the rest of the fixes, they're related to that dynamic event that I unfortunately haven't been able to play yet. Arena Commander. Then we get a short note, but a big impact. They reduced bullet nudging. I don't know if you guys know what this is, but this is basically aim assist. And when they first put in bullet nudging, I went from not being able to kill anybody to being competent in PvP. This is sort of when Fight or Flight happened for the first time. It was right around there. All of a sudden, I was somewhat competent and able to do well in that tournament. They're reducing that. So the skill gap, I think, just rose in Master Modes that a lot of PvPers were concerned about. So probably a good thing, but for people like me, it's going to be a little bit tougher, I think. Thursday, we had some bug fixes. Exclusively, there were no features added in this patch, and most of the bug fixes, again, were related to the event. I do look forward to actually updating you guys on the event. They're still working on it, so we'll talk more about it next week, basically. Hopefully soon I'll be able to play the game a little bit more. Arena Commander and technical updates. They made an input access range fix in Arena Commander. Let me know in the comments down below what that is. I have no idea what that one is, and they're trying to deal with all the crashes around this Idris battle that's going on at the dynamic event. And then Friday, again, bug fixes, more dynamic event fixes, but also a fix for a hotkey that I never knew what it meant. So target attackers means anyone who is locked onto you, you could cycle through those targets. That's pretty useful and pretty cool. So if you guys didn't know that, little tidbit there. Arena Commander, they added cool little race suits in Gravlev mode. I thought these were like a sneak peek at the ones mentioned in the monthly report. They're not. They're just undersuits and a helmet that are already in the game, but they're using them in that mode. Now, the big one. I already did a video on it on this channel, but this was crazy. I'm going to be able to talk with you guys about Evo here on this channel now because they plan on posting the notes publicly. Again, I did a whole video about it, which you likely saw because it's my most popular video on the channel in a long time. But yeah, what a relief. It's a win-win for everybody, really. And then we got an even crazier update that I haven't shared with you guys yet. Zyla replied to a concern about only being able to discuss the notes, but not the Evo experience as an Evo Kati member like myself. And Zyla basically just gave the green light. Anything about the content of the patch can be discussed. The NDA is basically only covering streams and videos and things like that for now. That's crazy. And what's kind of funny about this situation is members of this community have been sharing leaks on YouTube and Twitch for years, and they're not in Evo. And the ones who, like myself, are in Evo are now very well positioned to actually inform you because we did the right thing for so long. So kind of exciting. I really look forward to updating you guys properly with context. So really great. And that does it for this week's patches. I wasn't able to play much this week because we were taking care of my cat Lola. And with that, I really want to thank everyone for the kind words around her. The news we got back was not good, but the treatment we have done so far is going well, and I will keep you updated from time to time here. The comments were amazing, but on to the Squadron Monthly Report. So thank you again, guys. So with the Squadron 42 reports, I just pull out the few points in there that might eventually be impacting the PU. So the full report, make sure you check out the link in the description for that. Now, core gameplay is the first team that we're talking about. And with that, the core gameplay change that we saw last week with the PU side is actually also on the Squadron side, which is great. They mentioned doing quite a bit of work on the star map, making sure the points plot similarly to what we see in today's star map, which is obviously very important. I just find it to be a surprise that they're not already in there. And then the character customizer is confirmed to be getting a key feature, and that is the ability to save your character and not have to recreate yourself all the time, which almost nobody does. Everyone kind of looks the same in the PU, if you guys haven't noticed. I expect there to be a lot of variety and players to be different looking in the game, maybe like themselves and what they've always been looking for. So really short Squadron Monthly update, nothing really there. It was really Squadron focused, as you would expect now that all these devs are moving over to the PU, so we may or may not cover this one in the future. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you want me to continue just plucking out a few tiny things for a short little update. But with that, we can move on to video updates. And we'll start out with Inside Star Citizen titled Distribution Allocution. And of course, this episode is about the new distribution center, so naturally, we start out with what they are.
So a distribution center is a colossal hub that an organization owns that they distribute goods for, and this could be commodities themselves or stuff that they're making.
They're very big locations on the ground. They're a hive of activity. But you can also go there and cause some chaos.
So it seems like by this description, the bunkers are basically just really large bunkers in comparison to the small ones that we have now, and that's cool. But then they tell us what is actually different about them.
We don't want you to go to this location and be the only person there doing a thing. In some locations, you're going to find that you're just doing a delivery mission, you're hauling some cargo out there, you're dropping it off, and you're getting your fee for doing that. But while that's happening, another player could be infiltrating it, they could be assassinating a VIP in there.
They provide a large variety of gameplay, anything to bombing runs, first-person combat, theft, you name it.
A whole quagmire of different things going on at any one time.
So in case you don't know, the current small bunkers block missions while you accept one there. So if I accept one there, nobody else can get there. These locations will not do that. Multiple missions can happen at the same time here. Next, they answer probably the most important question.
But you want to know what's actually coming in 3.23, so let me tell you. We're going to have multiple DCs throughout the Stanton system. Each one of those is going to be owned by different brands. Some of them are going to be friendly towards you. Some of them they're going to be hostile towards you. At each location, you're going to have access to both sides of the building, both wings. On those wings, we have 2 landing pads and a hangar, and 2 cargo freight elevators. Plus you've got the wing itself, so all the missions that you can do outside. On the inside, you'll have access to the lobby and the rooms off that, so sleeping habs, kitchenettes and VIP spaces, and some maintenance places in there as well, all with missions.
Below that, you're into the main body of it, which has got the central part, which is the warehouse, which is where mainly all the goods go. Branching off of that leads into 2 side roads. From there can be a mixture of rooms. It's always the cargo shop, which is a part delivery space, part canteen for the staff to use for refreshment and taking a break. Storage rooms, which are the main whole of distributing big cargo boxes, which have to be used to be picked up via a tractor beam.
There are worker rest areas, there are security areas, side rooms.
And a side road, which is more like a little maintenance area, but it does have an underfloor, again with the ventilation access. That's on the inside. Branching out from that as well, there are 2 wings. Each one comes equipped with a cargo area, a shipping depot, and security door from the outside.
Hopefully enough content for you to get your teeth into in this kind of initial release.
That's a lot of stuff we can do for sure. I love the brands and that we got that pyro bombing mission in Stanton. These really make me think about the future past 323 though, with crafting and all this. All this does make me think is about the dynamic economy, or whatever economy we will see that team work on this year. And then they shared a little insight on how they think of us.
It's for the 4 types of player that exist in the persistent universe. So there's aggressive, lawful, unaggressive, lawful, aggressive, unlawful, and unaggressive, unlawful.
And after these clips, they go into some examples of the types of missions or something we will play at these centers based off of the type of player we are. So make sure you check out the video if you haven't yet. It is quite long, so I didn't want to include all that here, but a lot of it seems somewhat hypothetical as well, which is why I also didn't include it, and less actual missions for now, especially the sneaky ones. They always seem really fake because the AI in Star Citizen, right? The next clip seems to have caused a little concern in the community, though.
So a big driving force behind the distribution centers is to really bring players together in all different kinds of ways. So maybe you've got somebody there who's running a delivery mission, and at the same time, you've got a group of people coming in to raid the place and steal a bunch of stuff. They all get caught up together in a whole big mess, and the hope is that it's a fun, exciting, and probably quite chaotic experience.
Players don't want to have to play around other players in Star Citizen because their experiences have always been really bad, and they probably will be in this first release as well. But don't forget that in 323, the first implementation of Reputation is coming. So hopefully that will deter players a little bit more than normal, but it might take a bit to get that right. And last, they said it, but
at some point after 3.23 and into the future, I don't know when, we are going to be looking at the end game stuff that you want to play, and that's going to be in the form of raids.
So it looks like this raid thing from CitizenCon was faked a lot more than we thought, or maybe about as much as a lot of us thought, but hopefully we'll see it this year. I don't know. Now, we move on to Star Citizen Live, and this episode was interesting. It was a question and answer session about EVA and personal interactions. Now, they covered this at CitizenCon. They covered it on ISC. I don't know how much you can really dive into and get more information. It was interesting, but we just didn't hear a whole lot of new stuff. Just reiterating a few things. They mostly talked about the future, and the theme of it was that most of the stuff they talked about were not coming in 323. So no timelines, and it was largely a show to not put a ton of weight into. So with that, let's jump into other updates. And as always, we start out with a sneak peek, and this is a look at the item bank terminal kiosk, which I thought was supposed to be in our hangar. But if you didn't notice, this looks like it's in a Microtech ASOP area, possibly, which makes more sense as you have the item inventories at many locations. This is also the place where we are meant to recover our count attributed items when we lose them as well. Very much looking forward to how this will work, because it's essentially sounding like duping items, so should be pretty interesting. And then we had a lore post. Nothing really to say here. We just have a pretty old article originally from Jump Point about a ship that I'm not sure is super popular to fly anymore, the Anvil Valkyrie. And that'll do it for this week's show. Once again, Lola is doing much better. We're giving her some medicine, and that seems to be making her feel better and more herself. I swear it was all the love you guys put out in the world that helped her, and more importantly, us through this. This was a real challenge. Thank you to everyone for watching another week in review. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, comment on anything that we talked and anything I might have missed about today, and subscribe for more weeks in review. And I'll see you guys next time.